I'm Andy Berry, a pastor and parent still learning how to disciple not only the kids in my own home, but the kids in my ministry. So I'm having conversations with innovative leaders who are fostering a strong partnership between the church and the home. This is the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. Welcome back to the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. My name is Andy Berry, and as always, I am so encouraged that you are listening today or watching today. If you're catching this on YouTube, we have a phenomenal episode with our guest, Kathleen Jaoudi, who is the children's pastor at Trinity Church in Westchester County, New York. We talk a little bit about her sleepy little town that I think sounds like the town from Gilmore Girls, though Kathleen has never seen the show. But we talk about what it looks like to do ministry with parents, with faith influencers in a smaller church context, in a smaller town. But really, the brilliance of this episode is when Kathleen talks about meeting parents and faith influencers where they're at. And when we say meet parents where they're at, you may be thinking, yes, I've got to get outside the walls of my church and go spend time where these parents are spending time. But Kathleen offers a little bit of a different perspective on that, less about the location and more about the season in which these parents find themselves, the chaos, the busyness, the overscheduling, the anxiety, the fear, the doubt, the shame, but also as their kids are experiencing different milestones, the joy and the awe and the wonder that comes with that. And so Kathleen does a phenomenal job of helping us understand how to meet parents where they are in their season of life and leverage the time that she has with them to help those parents and those faith influencers better disciple the next generation. So there are practical, tactical steps all throughout this episode. Cannot wait for you to hear this amazing conversation with Kathleen. Enjoy this episode of the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. Well, Kathleen, welcome to the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. It is so good to finally have you on. You and I spoke a couple of weeks ago, and I've been waiting for this day. And I cannot wait for folks to hear about your experience as a parent, as a leader, and all that you have to share. So welcome. So glad you're here.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Happy to be here.
Where are you joining us from?
I am in Westchester County, about an hour north of New York City.
Oh, fancy.
Yes.
How unlike downtown like Manhattan is where you live?
It in some ways nothing like it, because I live in there's lots of small town vibes going on, but then a lot of people commute into the city, and so I feel like they bring that energy, the fun hustle and bustle energy, and also the intense New Yorker energy that we are so known for back here. So I think in this area we bring the busyness of Manhattan up with us, up into the suburbs, as they will say.
Okay. So for my sleepy existence in the suburbs of Richmond, Virginia, we hear New York, we think like, hey, you guys, it's Times Square and you've got costume characters walking around, but that's not happening in Westchester.
No.
Gotcha. But, hold on a second, because maybe then you're getting this like Hallmark movie, picturesque fall and like Christmas season where you live.
Yeah, so we do get that, right? Like the leaves are changing and it's gorgeous. Like this is one of my favorite times of year in New York, that I can look out the window and see tons of different colors, and then we get I always hope for that snow on Christmas, just a little bit of a dusting.
We Southerners get none of that. Yeah, we get 72 and humid on Christmas sometimes.
Oh, that's terrible. You are not dreaming of a white Christmas.
No. I mean, we're dreaming of it, but so you've got a little bit of a Gilmore Girls vibe then. You got a little Stars Hollow.
I've never seen Gilmore Girls.
Oh, don't snooze on it. You got to catch up. But hey, the weather in Westchester is not why we're here today. We're here because, as always, with every episode that we do, we want to connect with parents, ministry leaders, faith influencers, those who are discipling children, those who are invested in the discipleship of the next generation, not only through our own efforts as ministry leaders, but really connecting with parents. And so you do that in your day-to-day ministry role. Tell us about your role.
Yeah, so I'm the children's pastor at my church here. Um I this Sunday we just had the most kids we've ever had. I had 46. It was
Nice.
crazy. Um so that's like the most I'll get on a Sunday. And it's very exciting. So I work with kids and I work with their families. And I'm also a mom, new-ish with my like almost year and a half year old. So like to me, I don't feel new, but I think to other people, like I'm definitely a new mom
Right.
still.
Right.
Um, so that's been like a delight to start to experience that side. Like I've been doing children's ministry for so long,
Yeah.
and working with kids and working with families, and now I'm starting to see what it's like to try to put the practices into place and walk through that with my own son, which is pretty cool.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I tell people I'm unashamed of the fact that I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and, Noah is 10, and every grade level he gets to, our ministry gets better in that grade level. Because I'm like, oh, okay, now I knew some,
Hmm.
I have some years of experience, but now, oh, I really understand 10-year-old now. So, um, yeah, so you're not necessarily baby anymore.
Hmm.
You're toddler now.
Yeah.
So I think when I met you in Disney World at the Children's Pastors Conference,
Hmm.
I think you and your husband were like on and off, right? Like it was like somebody was going to go have some fun, somebody was going to be with the baby. Was that happening?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So that's the way to do it. I mean, when you're in the happiest place on earth, and for a conference, baby comes with you, right? But so I'm sure you all are doing great. And have you settled into more of a rhythm, or do you feel like it's still all changing all the time?
Yeah, well, I about like 3 or 4 weeks ago, he entered what I've been calling like the gremlin toddler phase. Uh, where it's just all chaos all the time, and
Yeah.
then this weekend he learned how to say no.
Oof.
So, yeah, brutal. And so now he says no to everything, even when he means yes. So we're navigating like that area of toddlerhood where it's like there is some routine, but also now it's like from sun up to sundown we're just
Right.
like chasing him around the house.
And classic gremlin. Don't feed him after midnight. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you said that this past Sunday you all had your biggest Sunday ever of 46 kids, because I think sometimes we get a sense that if you're on a podcast, if you're a guest on a podcast, or you've written a book, or you've written a blog, or you're putting out curriculum or content, you must
Mhm.
be from some massive church, right? Because
Yeah.
those are the ones that are really setting the pace. And I think no, there are great leaders at
Mhm.
every size church, in every
Yeah.
size context, and so that's why we do this. That's why we have folks on who
Yeah.
represent different realities. And so, what do you? I mean, what do you attribute the biggest Sunday ever to at Trinity?
Um, I I think just we've been growing at this like lovely pace the last couple of years. We launched 4 years ago. And this summer we just had a lot of, well, first of all, we've had um n- 9 babies born in the last 9 months.
Mm,
That helps.
yeah,
Uh
yeah,
and just people who are really just like coming and visiting and just enjoying just I think we have a very lovely family-centered church. There's a lot of we really try to make families feel welcome. And that like this is a place for their kids. Often after service there are kids running all around the we don't have a lobby, so the sanctuary, and
I
there's
love it.
just a lot of there's a lot of life. and it's really beautiful to get to create that space for families to bring their little kids to sit with them in service, to come downstairs to our programs, to find community with other young families.
Right.
So we've had just a crazy amount come this week. Yeah, I think there were like 13 2 to 4 year olds in one room on Sunday. Um, and luckily I had
Yeah.
one of my, school teachers was running that room that day, and she was like, "This is no problem." I was like, "Blessings to you because
Yeah.
this is crazy." So it's been just
How
fun.
how is your church responding to the growth? I mean, do you have people stepping in? Because obviously more kids means a
Mhm.
need for more volunteers, more folks to serve. How's the church responding?
Yeah, there's been both people that are willing to come serve on Sundays, but also people who just wanna come around, these moms, with their newborns and these young families and support them in different ways, through, like, meal trains or, through we have lots of, like, older women who just wanna snuggle babies, and they're
Yeah.
like, if they need help, um like, send them my way and I'll hang out with their baby or come help with them. So there's just been this, like, excitement,
Yeah.
around having all this, like, young life, and I think that's what's cool too is just the way that we've really tried to cultivate a space where, um families are loved and welcome and included, and
Yeah.
they can bring their babies into the service, and if they're making noise it's okay because they're a baby
Right.
and
Right.
it's gonna be okay.
There's a friend of mine named Philip, who lives down the street from us, and we go to the pool together in the summer. And our youngest kids are the same age. And I was talking to him this summer, and we were talking about church, and he told me the church that he goes to, and it is way across town. And so I was saying, hey, Philip, our kids are friends. They're connecting at the pool. Our church is just down the street. Would love for you guys
Mhm,
to join us. And he said, oh no, we'll never leave our church. We love it so much. And so I said, what is it about this church
mhm,
that's closer to the city? And he said, well, we were going there as a young married couple. We were living down there, and then we moved out to the suburbs, but we decided to stay. And I go, yeah, most people make the switch then to like a church that's got
uh-huh,
a few more kids, that's in your community. I said, what's the secret? And he said, well,
mhm,
we lost a baby. So we had
mm,
a miscarriage while we were there, and the church loved us so well, right?
mhm,
They showed up for us. They didn't even know us. Some of these older folks that were there didn't even know who we were, but they were coming to us. They were praying with us. They were fixing us meals. He said, then
mhm,
some time went by, and then we became pregnant again, and we celebrated the birth of our kids, and they showed up the same way,
mm,
right? They showed up consistently to come celebrate us and bring us meals and pray with us and all those things. And I was sitting there like, oh yes, like the church did what
yeah,
it's supposed to do in both of those moments, right? And
mhm,
because of that, Philip and his wife are like, we are a full-fledged part of that community. We want to do the same thing for others. And so yeah, when you swing the doors open wide, you welcome folks in that are in that
mhm,
phase of life where they're having babies, and you love them well and you create space for them, yes, more people will find out, and then you'll have your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, ninth baby, being born there. So well done on Trinity Church for creating that space. You know, I think it's helpful for people to understand also what your programming looks like. So, what's a
mhm.
typical week in children's ministry, family ministry?
Yeah, we have our Sundays, and on Sundays, our kids, um the anybody kindergarten and up starts for sure in the service. They for worship and prayer, and then they go downstairs right before announcements. All of our like younger kids are welcome to also be a part of that time, but our nursery and our preschool rooms are open. And then we all come downstairs and we have programming, um and on the first Sundays of the month, we have everybody come back upstairs to either participate or watch our communion time, so that families are having that
It's cool.
opportunity to. do that together. And they can make the choice to um, bring their child up with them and talk about what it is. And I really believe like kids absorb so much through watching
Yeah.
and witnessing. And I think um, one of the ways like to give families an easy win of like discipling their kids is letting them just watch their parents worship and letting them watch other adults worship and being a part of those of communion of those sacred moments in the church of witnessing when we have our baptisms or when we have baby dedications or when we have whatever that they are getting to see that as a part of our church. And so that's Sundays. And then I also have a small but mighty midweek group that I do. It's about 5 or 6 like 1st through 5th graders. They come and we run around and it's one of my favorite times of the week because we get to really dive into deeper questions.
And then from a discipleship model standpoint at Trinity, I mean, you and I have talked in the past. So the Nurturing Faith Collective, yes, we are all about resourcing parents and ministry leaders and faith influencers, but really it's the partnership between those three
Mhm.
that we're really invested in. And so what does that discipleship model for kids look like when it comes to what you're doing as a ministry leader and what the parents of those kids are doing?
Yeah, for me, I think like as we kind of talked about, like the pace of life around here is fast. On any given weekend, there's 1 million different things going on.
Yeah.
Just so many different sports or music classes or lessons or this or that or like events. And the town is throwing an event and the town next door is throwing an event and my friend is hosting a party and da da da. And so because things are so busy, I really am trying to just in any way I can meet families wherever they're at. I'm trying to resource them in a way where it doesn't feel like an extra obligation on top of everything else, but it's just small, simple practices that integrate into things they're doing. Um, like I said, that's why I really see the value in kids watching their parents
Sure.
worship or being a part of communion or finding ways to connect with parents, with families, um, in natural ways, trying to not have to like programming that's keeping them separate, but as many times as I can, how can we have the family all together and providing space for parents and faith influencers um, to disciple their kids, like while I'm kind of helping like guide the way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Is there sorry, is there, like, instruction that you're giving to the parents of, "Hey, we are welcoming your kids into this worship, service, like, we are here's how you can bring them in, here's how you can help them." Are
hmm
you are you giving them language to help explain things?
yeah. I think that's something like yes and no. One, like yes, when a first time family comes in, I'm kind of talking them through it. And I think I like in individual conversations, we talk about, yeah, like kids, even you look in the Bible, kids always were participating in the corporate worship settings, and that's where they were observing. And
Mhm.
when Deuteronomy talks about like writing it on the households and on the gates and writing the commandments, like having them remember the
Yeah,
commandments, that's all happening at the home, but also in like the life of the town, the life of the community. And so those are our like natural discipleship opportunities. But I think I'd also like to work on a more like formal setting to talk through like the different like an elements of worship workshop almost where like parents and influencers and kids get to come and I teach a little and then they discuss together and just resourcing like both sides. That's the kinds of things I want to do. I want parents and kids to both hear me saying the same thing and then get to talk about it and helping the parents kind of direct and guide conversation and let
yeah,
them lead. But I think so many parents and faith influencers can get intimidated and feel like, well, what if I don't know the answer or I don't know
right.
where to start? And so that's why I try to like have events. So instead of having like a kids only Christmas party, it's a Christmas family experience. So all of my kids and their families, actually you can't drop your kid off. We're all participating. The event we're doing this year is written by Wonder Inc. curriculum, and it provides a great opportunity for you set up these stations, and parents or whoever is with them guide them to each station, and there's questions listed, and so the parents get to like read the scripture and then ask the questions, and they get to have that discussion, and I've just like set up this opportunity for
Yeah.
it to happen. um so instead of being like go home and discuss the whole Christmas story, and it's like, well,
Right.
when am I going to do that, and what should we discuss, and what questions am I asking, and I don't. Instead, it's like, okay, well, let me meet you where you're at. Let's have this Christmas family experience where we're coming together. You're connecting with your kids, and you're connecting with other families with kids the same age. Resourcing, like, here's a way to talk and discuss, and we've set aside this purposeful time, and we're gonna have fun. We're gonna have some cookies, and we're gonna like do the fun Christmas stuff, and we're gonna really talk about, well, what does Advent mean, and what does it mean to anticipate and wait for Jesus, to be
Yeah.
waiting for him, to be looking for him. What does it mean, that he is our hope and our love and our joy and our peace? And so, um, like,
Yeah.
that's something that I think is really helpful, as we're trying to partner with families, and resource them, especially when they feel like overwhelmed or too busy.
Yeah, I love the way that you're framing this, and I wanna just, like, really punch it so that we can draw a distinction here. So when you say, "Hey," because a very common answer to, "Hey, how do we partner with families?" is you have to meet them where they're at, right? And
Mhm.
so, I was listening and listening and going, "Oh, you're not talking about, in a traditional sense, 'Hey, let me go to where you are,' because a lot of times that's what people will say, right? 'Hey, I
Mhm.
try to go to where they are.'" When you say, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds to me like when you
Mhm.
say, I want to meet them where they're at, you're saying, I want to meet them in the busyness. I want to meet
Mhm.
them in this phase of life that
Yes.
they don't have much time. I want
Yes.
to meet them right there, and I want to leverage every second that I have while they're
Yes.
at something. So, as opposed to doing a kids event, I'll do a family event.
Yeah.
At that family event, I'm going to be incredibly intentional about using that time to set them up for a conversation that they can have right then, as opposed to, hey, here's a sheet of paper, go home and follow up on this. So
Yeah.
I think that distinction is really important for folks to catch. This doesn't mean, hey, I have to go have dinner at everybody's kitchen table, which
Mhm.
I mean, that'd be great, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you would welcome that opportunity, but you're saying, hey, I just want to meet you in the busyness, right? And there's a crossroads here, and we're connecting. We have 90 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool. I would really encourage folks that are listening, especially ministry leaders. Yes, there are times throughout the year when events for children are helpful, but I
Mhm.
would say lean into events for the family to participate
Mhm.
in together. And if you
Yeah.
can get 3 generations, I mean, if you can get grandma and grandpa there, even better, right?
Yeah.
Even better. What's been the response from the parents, and when we say faith influencer, we mean a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle,
Mhm.
anyone who's, encouraging or influencing that kid. So what's been the response from those folks in your church?
Yeah, I think they've really appreciated it, and like, the Christmas experience is, like, one of my biggest attended events, like, out of everything, because, like, 1, also capitalizing on natural, like, energy around
Yeah,
something, right?
yeah,
Like, everybody wants to do something for Christmas, so, like, I'm gonna do something for Christmas. And instead of like separating, like, here's our kids thing and here's a parents thing and it's like, okay, how much can we bring everyone together and like capitalize on this energy? Um, in the um, in the spring for during Lent, during Easter season, Wondering also had a family event around Passover and talking about what does Passover look like for us as Christians. And I did that event and again invited families to participate, and they got to and talked them through, like, this is what Passover means and this is what it means for us now as Christians. And it was like a beautifully written event. Again, capitalizing on natural, like Easter is coming and Passover, and people are curious about Passover. In Westchester County, there's like a huge Jewish population. And so a lot of people are very curious about Jewish holidays and about Passover. And so it's this natural opportunity to say, hey, let's like talk about it, and let's talk about it, what it means for our faith, and let's do it
Right.
as a family. Sit at a table with your kids and with other families, and let's come around. I'm
Yeah.
always trying to find that, like, where is their natural energy, where parents and families are looking for something, and let's capitalize on it. Um, we did the same thing with when our graduations are a natural time for that too. So when this year when our fifth graders were graduating into sixth grade, parents have a lot of like feelings, like it's moving from elementary school to middle school. I haven't experienced it. It sounds like you're about to experience it.
So close. So
It's a
close.
big
Yeah.
deal, and parents are looking like that's a um sometimes can feel shaky time of transition. And so let's meet them in that feeling. And we're going to have a luncheon for everybody with a rising fifth grader or with a rising sixth grader, that graduating fifth grader. And so we held this event and we had kids come with their parents. And we actually said, and leave the siblings at home
Yeah.
because this is for your graduating fifth grader.
Yeah.
Um, and like this is their time, and we invited the youth pastor was there, and me, the children's pastor, was there, and we invited a couple of our middle school leaders. um, and I got so much positive feedback about that event, that again I was just meeting them like where they're at. And
Right.
we had a meal together at someone's house that had a graduating fifth grader. They hosted, and we had a meal together, and the kids played in the backyard, and then we came together, and the youth pastor and I just asked the kids, like in front of their families, like, what's one thing you're going to remember about being in Trinity Kids, and what's one thing you're looking forward to like in Trinity Youth? And it was just modeling like simple reflective question, and giving the parents space to hear about like what is youth about too,
Yeah.
for those that didn't. And what was really cool about that is multiple of those families. I'm always trying to like not overwhelm, like I said, my families, because there's so
Right.
much going on. And multiple
Right.
of them were like, with graduating fifth grade, it's like a high school graduation. There's this event and that event, and there's a dance and there's a dinner and there's a this. And I was like, oh, I said to them, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, did I add to that? And the response was always, no, this is what's actually most important. Like, this is
Yeah.
the one thing I really actually do want. And so that was just another situation of like, let's meet them where they're at. Let's provide support for them. Let's like, how are you discipling your kid through this transition? Just those moments, like where,
Right.
what is life? What pressure point is life pushing on for families, and how can I step into that space and help them answer those questions, help them lead through that time, anything like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. My brain is just firing with different thoughts. So let me try to just like get a couple things out real fast, and then maybe we can unpack some of those.
Hmm.
The first is, I think you're not making any assumptions. You know,
Hmm.
you're not assuming that every parent who's bringing a kid, or every faith influencer who's bringing a kid to your ministry knows all the nuance and all the rhythms of what it means to be part of the local church. So one, you're not
Hmm.
making that assumption, and you're saying, hey, let me just l- what a beautiful thing to sit a parent and a kid down and say, let me teach you how to engage in this worship service.
Hmm.
Because we just make an assumption that, well, everybody will figure it out, or we
Yeah.
normalize our own experience and we're like, I'm sure they had the same hour that I had of worship growing up, and so they know this
Yeah.
stuff. So you're not making any assumptions, but you're also not dumbing things down so much that you have parents going, yeah, Kathleen, I already know this, right? Can you
Hmm.
give me the next level stuff, right? So you're striking this really great balance. So that's one thing. The second thing I will say is, I love the thought that, hey, I'm going to leverage the things that are naturally happening in the rhythm and the life of a family.
Hmm.
Uh, but I'm not gonna just offer the same thing that they're gonna get somewhere else, right? I
Hmm.
think this is key, and this is what I'm always after in my ministry context is, okay, so it's Christmas. We want to offer something for the family. But if we offer the same thing their school is offering, or we offer the
Mhm.
same thing the community's offering,
Mhm.
well, that's just another thing. But if we create an experience where they can't get anywhere else this season,
Yeah.
then we have a great opportunity to have them join us. Same thing at in the spring, at the end of the school year.
Mhm.
The summer, affords us that opportunity. Mother's Day, Father's Day, whatever it is.
Mhm.
I'm always trying to come up with what is that thing that honors this family and their time, but is
Mhm.
just different enough that they're not gonna think, "Well, we already went to the fall fest at my kid's school, like, do we really need to go to
Yeah.
another one?" Right? So
Right.
and it sounds like you're doing that. It sounds
Yeah.
like you're doing that at these pivotal, times throughout the year. So, after Christmas, you start thinking about the spring,
Mhm.
right? And then you start thinking about the end of the school year, and then
Mhm.
you start thinking about the summer, and then, "Oh my gosh, we're back in the fall again," and then here comes another Christmas, right?
Yes.
So how are you as a ministry leader balancing, ministry leader and parent, how are you balancing all of that work, all of that rhythm? It's a lot.
Yeah, I think like ministry can be really busy, and adding on like this toddler situation to ministry has also been crazy.
Yeah.
Um and so I think like it's some of it is like prioritizing what's important and what's working and what is going to have the most impact, because like thousands of things can like pull at your attention, like, oh, maybe I should try this thing, or maybe I should do this thing, or da da da. And I'm just trying to like look at the calendar, like the church calendar as a whole, and be like, what's going to be most helpful to my families? And also, if I feel overwhelmed by the church calendar,
Yep.
probably they feel overwhelmed by the church calendar.
Yeah.
If I feel like we've had a million church events this month, they probably feel the same way. And while I've been at them all because I'm on staff, they have probably not come to any because it was too overwhelming. And
Right.
so I think that's like key is how do I like focus my attention on what matters most, and how do I make sure I'm taking like regular breaks for myself to like focus on things, right? Like I like late October, early November, like I try to like let my ministry calendar slow down a little, which is kind of controversial because everybody does a fall festival, right?
Right. Right.
But I like do a big fall thing earlier in the fall. And like give myself a breath to
Yeah.
get into Christmas.
But you're not just giving you mentioned this. I mean, you're not just giving yourself a breath, you're giving those
Yeah.
families a breath.
Yeah.
Right? And so ministry leaders who are listening to this, I think it's so important that this is why we calendar
Mhm.
as an entire church staff.
Yes.
This is why we calendar as a whole team.
Mhm.
Because yes, there are times, and I say this with the utmost kindness to my fellow staff members, but there are times that when they're thinking about children's ministry, they're just thinking about the children. But we've
Mhm.
talked about this, right? This is a family ministry, right? We're doing these
Yeah.
things all together. And so they might look at the calendar and go, "Well, Andy doesn't really have Andy has a kids thing that month, but that's okay. We'll put a women's event and like a men's breakfast
Mhm.
and then we'll put a class that month." And I'm going, "Wait a second, the people that are going to go to that men's breakfast and that women's event, I want them to, those are the parents I want coming to the family event, right?" So we
Yes.
can't overwhelm them. So yes, calendar all together, but you're giving yourself a break, but you're also giving those folks a break and letting them get a breath before we get into Advent, right?
Yeah. We just did our calendar for the first half of 2026 as a staff, and we print out huge, like 4 foot by 3 foot calendar, and we put sticky notes on the whole thing, color coded by ministry event.
Yeah,
And then we looked and we said, okay, is anything too overwhelming
right.
for us as a staff and also for our families? Like we took the time to
Yeah,
like intentionally kind of look through that and like, oh, is the demographic for this event like these two can be close because they're different demographics, or they can't
right.
be close because actually we want people like coming to that?
I'm totally with you on calendaring that way. I mean, we cover the wall in
Mhm.
our big conference room, and we're like, hey, we've got to look at this. And I just always remind people that the things that are kid related and family related are just the number one priority, and so they can build around that. That's what I always tell folks. Um, and I say that kind of jokingly, but I also say, hey, this is the demographic that we feel called to reach in this community that we're in.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, we're going to think about mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle
Mhm.
when we plan these things. So that's really a good word. There's some type A person out there who's so excited right now. They're like, oh, they're speaking my language. Color coded calendars. Um,
Uh-huh.
hey, listen, this has been a great conversation, but we always ask. I said, but as though like, it's been a great conversation, but the but is it's going to come to a close at some point.
Mhm.
But we love to ask, and when I say we, I mean your dear friend, my dear friend, Danelle Schlickenmeyer, who was the
Mhm.
previous co-host of this.
Mhm.
She and I began this by asking people, hey, as we've talked about a little bit, ministry is a lot. It's very involved. You're parenting this toddler as well. There are
Mhm.
folks listening to this podcast that are thinking, hey, Kathleen, you've said some amazing things here, some practical things that I can take. Like, oh, okay, now I got to teach my kids and parents like how to worship.
Mhm.
Now I got to do a Passover meal with them, and I got to get that Christmas event on the calendar. And
Yeah.
there's a chance that stressed leaders may feel a little bit of like, oh my goodness, there's even more for me to do. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. And sometimes folks can say, hey, I just don't think I can do this anymore. The pace of this, the stamina that I need. What would you say to that ministry leader right now who's in that season where they're just saying, oh, I don't know that I can continue to do this?
Yeah. Well, I think an important thing to remember is you don't have to be all things for all people.
Mm,
You don't have to do everything, right? Everything I've talked about, I've built over years of slowly introducing. And so I think like when we're feeling like tired and burnt out, we it's hard to like undertake like a whole project. And so like to take it slow, like what is one small thing you could try this week if you're feeling
yeah,
like you want to try? Like what's one small way? And I think also I think children's pastors are always um doubting themselves, like because I bet you who are listening, you are already doing some of this stuff naturally because you care for kids and families. And
yeah,
so I would encourage you, like, look at what you're already doing. Look at what makes you excited and how can you lean into that and just expand it a little, tiny bit to empower your families.
that's great.
Right? If you're already about to throw a huge kids event, just also invite their families. Like, and you don't even have to change what your plan is. Just have the families come along
Yeah,
and have the parents or the faith influencers, whoever their adult is, just come along with whatever you already are doing. Just kind of looking at the things you already have, playing to your strengths, and like your ministry is unique to you, right? Nobody's like my ministry is unique to me and the way I do it and my demographic and my family's works for us. And you have to figure out what works for you because if you're always chasing what works for other people, that's gonna tire you out. That's gonna lead to burnout. So you have to
yeah.
look, what are my strengths? What are the things I'm excited about and passionate about when it comes to empowering my families?
I love that. I think it's the Anna of Arundel principle, right? It's just do the next right thing.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to you don't have to climb this entire mountain all at once.
Right.
I love that. I love what you're saying. Hey, just take what you're already doing for children and figure out how would I include their parents, their grown-ups into this.
Yep.
What a like super practical, super helpful thing because yes, I guarantee you, ministry leaders listening have something on the calendar coming up for kids. And
Yeah.
so just spending a little time and tweaking and saying, okay, if I were to invite their grown-ups into this,
Mhm.
how can I leverage that time? What
Right.
a great starting point for a conversation with ministry leaders. So thank you for that. Like, one of the things that we're so intentional about, or trying to be intentional about on this podcast, is we want folks to leave encouraged, yes, but we want them to leave with practical, tactical steps that they
Yeah.
can take today to move the needle a little bit. And you have given
Mhm.
us several of those today. My favorite thing about hosting this podcast is I get to hear it all first, and then I get to start implementing those things first, right? So I am always learning from these guests. So, Kathleen,
Mhm.
thank you so much for giving us a little bit of time today
Yeah.
and sharing your experience. I'm super encouraged about where you're at as a mom, as a ministry leader, and cannot wait to see what God does in and through you as you continue to lead and continue to raise your little, as I like to call it, my children's ministry of two in my house. So you have a children's ministry of one in your house right now, and
Uh-huh.
I'm so excited for what's to come. So thank you so much. And hey, don't forget to like this podcast and subscribe to this podcast so you'll know when new episodes are coming. And we will see you next time on the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast.